A laser beam slices entire space fleets in half like paper. That massive impact sparks an explosion sweeping through space in seconds. Scared enemies fall into full panic, having no clue where that brutal wipeout came from. All of this happens because our MC traveled 14 years back in time. In his past life, he was just a nameless miner on a falling apart ship. Except now our boy unlocked a totally broken combat system. Taking full control, he leads a legendary warship into battle. The guy is set to crush every single rival who ruined his past life. Subscribe to the channel right now and get ready, because today's story is insane. Cruising through space inside one of those massive ships is the ultimate dream for every explorer. Everything completely falls apart when the engines and stealth systems stop working for good. Suddenly, a weird power surge shoots a huge electric spark that starts frying the control panels. Wang Dil remembers it has been 34 years since he got reincarnated, right as the metal hull snaps. Making matters even worse, their main ammo is totally gone and enemy forces are swarming around them. Our captain feels hopeless when his helper system fails right at the most critical moment. Multiple beams of light cut through the dark void as heat alarms go crazy. Blaming himself for a dumb mistake after 10 years of non-stop fighting, the guy just waits to die. Turning his eyes toward the crew, the MC apologizes for not being able to rescue them. One female soldier speaks up immediately, saying nobody there regrets following him into battle. Everyone hugs each other at the very end, while our boy cries and wishes for a fresh start. Right then, the onboard computer announces that it can trigger an emergency time warp. Without a single second of hesitation, the Proto orders the time rewind right away. Angry and full of determination, he swears that this time, nobody is going to die. A giant explosion tears the vessel apart as the entire structure collapses. Blaring over the intercom, the AI warns that damage has passed 90%. And that is when everything changes, because a massive warp field swallows the whole area. Our guy opens his eyes wide when gravity suddenly returns to normal out of nowhere. Checking the main display, he spots the current date and realizes he actually traveled back in time. His small ship is floating near cosmic dust, 14 years in the past. Thinking back to his rivals from the Jin family, the pilot swears to rewrite his fate this time around. Sitting right in front of him is the desert planet Kake-03, a basic mining colony. Wanting to rewrite history, he quickly fires up his combat system. Virtual screens pop up showing that almost every feature is locked without a brand new ship. Seeing this limitation, Wang Do knows he will have to stick to basic radar scanning for now. Looking over his old F-class machine, he realizes that rusted hunk of junk is his only weapon. Heartboy plans to wait 48 hours so he can steal a much better vessel. Suddenly, a loud chime on the console signals an incoming call. Hearing footsteps down in the cargo bay, the kid stays on high alert. Leah shows up with a warm smile and welcomes him to Mining Sector 2. Laughing a bit, she mentions that work starts in 10 hours and tells him to get ready. The young man apologizes for forgetting about it, amused by her upbeat energy. Promising to buy her dinner later, he decides to celebrate his new shot at life this way. As the ship glides along on autopilot, the MC goes to grind hard in the gym. After an intense hour, he collapses on the floor, wishing he had secret training methods. A sharp beep rings out to announce they reach the asteroid field, requiring manual control. Right then, he finds out that a rival named Shi picked the exact same route. Recalling his past timeline, the kid plans to use his system to grab the treasures first. It was obvious that his past success really annoyed that guy's leadership. A mocking voice comes over the comms, asking if the Proto can drop a few tips. Wang Do smirks with total confidence and challenges his opponent to a space race. Before long, side bets break out and other miners pick who they think will win. Taunting the race host, our guy says he will win easily and asks if the man is scared. Laughing back, the host replies that taking the risk is worth getting rich. Two ships line up side by side, completely set to dive into the asteroid chaos. She sends a funny message asking the Proto to let him win just this once. Having zero patience for useless chatter, the boy mutes the audio and sets it to text. Sighing in relief from the quiet atmosphere, he just reads the words on screen. Since their lasers are pretty weak, this contest will be settled by raw flying skill. That massive maze of floating rocks holds insane riches for anyone who makes it out alive. Whoever reaches the deep end of this deadly zone wins the bet and earns massive respect. Back in the original life, greedy Shi blew himself up while trying to track the MC's secrets. That tragic event caused a huge headache for our pilot, making him a target for the dead guy's family. Hoping to avoid drama with that rival clan, Wang Du changes plans to work in the shadows. The belt is pure chaos, packed with massive boulders drifting everywhere. Near the edges of the labyrinth, tiny tiny rocks moving at crazy speeds shred normal ships. Luckily, rescue crews have to clear the outer border to make a safe opening. Laya pops up on the radio super hyped, telling everyone the window is open and it is time to go. Instantly, the engines roar as orange ships blast straight toward the dangerous rock cluster, sending a smug comms message. Upboy laughs that victory is already locked in and hits full throttle. Slicing through the dark, the vessels zoom forward while leaving trails and dodging big boulders. Wang Do orders the gravity system off so he can channel max power to all 8 thrusters. Flying without gravity means losing top speed, but he gains ridiculous maneuverability. Utilizing that crazy mobility, the kid pulls off flawless turns through the insane debris. Seeing those insane moves through his windshield, the opponent freaks out thinking he lost his mind. Leah begs him over the comms to stop right now, crying out that it is just a silly wager. Sweating from pure terror, she screams out to check if the young man has gone insane. Remaining completely relaxed, the Prota thinks this is child's play compared to real wars. That is when the tables turn. As the orange vessel scrapes past tight gaps with pinpoint accuracy, the opponent stands frozen in shock at that perfect flight path, stuttering in confusion. Clearing the danger zone, our boy lets out a breath of relief for saving the rival's skin. Now his focus shifts to the clock, knowing there are under 24 hours left for the plan. Heading back to the mining track, he goes to hunt down the exact crystals his system needs. Running out of power broke everything in his previous run, so he will not make that mistake again. Parking his vessel inside a small trench, the Prota commands the computer to scan the area. 32 seconds later, he groans after finding nothing but basic iron and copper. Following 40 minutes of searching, the pilot finally detects gas deposits and tons of titanium. That specific metal is worth 30 times more than gas, guaranteeing a great payout. Securing the ship against spatial drift, he fires heavy magnetic tether cables. Firing up the high-grade drill, the guy cuts into the massive rock effortlessly. 5 hours in, he gathers 100 tons, though finding raw power cells will be much harder. Another 10 hours drift by in the quiet void while he keeps digging around. After 20 hours of grinding, the kid finally manages to extract the target crystal. Wielding a special hammer tool, he chips away the last layer of stone very carefully. 3 hours later, he finishes totally exhausted with just 3 crystals, which is still a huge help. With only 1 hour remaining on his deadline, the Prota says he is coming to collect it. Punching the thrusters to maximum output, he speeds straight toward the rendezvous point. Sure enough, right through his cockpit glass, he spots a massive military warship floating there. Multiple lights glow across its armored hull, revealing the ridiculous size of the giant beast. That colossal vessel seems like it is just waiting for the right captain to take the wheel. Wang Do wears a victorious smile as he sees his strategy work out. An intense gravitational wave links the two ships together, shaking everything violently. Feeling the heavy vibrations, he notices his dashboard went dark because of weird particles. This turns out to be great since it hides his ship from nearby enemy scanners. However, the system warns that the hull is down to 88% integrity. Realizing he cannot escape, the young man decides to cooperate and shuts down the engines. Remembering the past timeline, he figures out the rival is Russian because of an illness. 2 automated patrol bots boot up their sensors to scan the entire location. Staring at those super expensive droids, our guy praises the enemy leader for flexing his wealth. Maintaining his role as a peaceful prisoner, he surrenders and plans his next move. A bright blue light wraps around the platform, lifting the 3 of them straight up to the top deck. Coming to a slow stop on the deck, the doors slide open to reveal the command bridge of the Tomahawk. Wang Do takes a firm step forward, fully aware that this confrontation cannot be avoided now. Looking at the old veteran sitting in the captain chair, he mentions he already knew it was Yuan Shu. The old man looks completely wrecked, chest bleeding with tubes attached to keep him alive. Ignoring the sarcastic remark, the dying man tells him to step closer since he cannot move. Right then, the kid smirks and decides to play weak to gain his trust. Walking over calmly, our boy says it is an absolute miracle the old guy's even conscious. Letting out a heavy sigh, the dying veteran admits he popped a stimulant to hold on for 1 hour, but the Prota gives him a reality check, saying no local hospital could ever fix that damage. Trying to act helpless so he gets released, the MC is warned that his peaceful life is officially over. 3 heirs of the Jin family were wiped out by him, meaning anyone on this vessel will be hunted down. Man, at this exact moment the kid realizes that specific family holds grudges over the smallest things, recalling how they once locked up an entire school board over a petty argument. They staged fake accidents against the victim's relatives, even hurting a 1-year-old baby. The old man confirms with a tense look that those people are way worse than the rumors say. Stuck with no way out, the Proto asks what he wants, remembering he was hunted for this before. That level of chill impresses the old soldier, while the kid acts clueless to hide his real motives. Introducing himself, the veteran says he will hand over control of the Tomahawk to our boy shortly. However, the Proto stays cold, causing the annoyed old guy to ask if he is really turning this down. Deep down, he always wanted one of those giant warships that rule the galaxy. His initial plan was to grind mining money to purchase one right after graduation. Accepting the offer would save 20 years of hard work, yet he claims he is not ready. Growling in anger with blood dripping down his face, the old man asks if he is actually refusing. Wang Do explains that owning something so precious right now would only bring his death way sooner. Chuckling with blood in his mouth, the elder claims he picked right because the boy is cautious. Massive relief washes over the Proto, knowing he would have died on the spot if he was greedy. Staying alive requires him to act like a polite teenager and watch every word carefully. He mentions walking into a trap, but promises the hidden security protocol will protect the vessel. Seconds later, droids pin the boy down and he shouts out, wondering what is going on. Yuanshu jabs a needle into his neck, revealing it contains a 12-month slow poison. The old captain demands that he takes down a Jin family heir to receive the cure. Basically, either the Proto completes the job on time or the toxin ends his life. Left with no option, the kid accepts the deal, fully aware he got dragged into this revenge plot. Deep inside, our boy figures out the old man just wants to use him to settle his grudge. Gathering his final bits of strength, Yuanshu officially transfers ownership of the ship to him. Right away, the AI updates and the bots recognize our boy as their new commander. Celebrating quietly in his mind, he knows taking this careful step alters his entire future. Showing proper respect, he asks if the former leader has any last orders for him. And then comes a shock, as the elder drives a blade into his own chest to end it all quickly. His final wish is to pass away peacefully inside, leaving his soul connected to the ship. Swearing to handle everything, the Proto starts plotting a quick escape route. He remembers taking too long in the previous timeline, which got him caught by his enemies. That thought brings a faint smile to the old man, making the kid feel in charge of his life. Wasting no time, he engages stealth mode and deploys drones to blend into deep space. Multiple probes shoot out from the vessel, spreading through the dark to watch everything silently. Vanishing inside the cosmic mist, the warship travels forward in search of a safe zone. Feeling calmer now, the kid wipes his sweat while the old man asks if he even knows how to fly. Flashing an awkward smile, he admits he only ever played desktop flight simulators. Asking why the warship only has one main weapon, he gets laughed at by the veteran. Veteran Yuanshu explains that low-tier ships focus entirely on offense while having trash defense. As tech advances, high-grade shields start protecting the hull without taking a scratch. This turns the main cannon into the only heavy weapon required, saving massive energy. Regretting the design limits, the old guy adds that weak generators can only support one main gun. Wang Du realizes the elder is sharing far more secrets than he did back in the old timeline. Floating out in open space, the massive warship stands grand in the hands of its new leader. Yuanshu begins sharing that his people were refugees from an ancient fallen empire. Saving their species required deploying seed ships loaded with their final remaining supplies. Drifting for 1,000 years while hiding from hunters, they stumbled upon super advanced ruins. And that changes everything, because they uncovered an artifact capable of generating vital energy. Combining this mysterious relic with ancient tech, they built unstoppable warships. The old veteran highlights that the core of these ships accepts any alien technology. Curious about the tech, the boy asks which specific artifacts work as upgrade parts. Nobody knows the exact formula, but components forged through sacrifice fit much better. Two main traits make this tech legendary, namely infinite adaptation and constant evolution. Recognizing that insane growth potential, our young guy wants to use his system to upgrade everything. This unbelievable vessel can even perform warp jumps into parallel dimensions. Wiping out enemies inside those alternate realms generates points to upgrade the ship. However, there is a catch. Since performance dropped to 25% after changing owners, memories flash through his mind of how that stat drop cost him dearly in the past. He remembers the Tomahawk was basically an average ship compared to the mighty Jin family fleet. Bleeding heavily, the veteran tells the kid to change his identity and run away fast. Wang Do gets suspicious right away, knowing this is a test and the poison story was fake. Speaking with total confidence, the young man warns that making peace with the Jins is impossible. Swearing he will not die for anyone, he stays fully focused on getting his payback. Satisfied with his answer, the wounded captain confirms all tactical data is saved. Suddenly, a soft ping echoes and a holographic display appears in front of the new leader. Engaging the neural link, his mind connects straight into the ship's main core. Avoiding enemies tailing him means keeping the engines running at all times. Searching for a solid hideout, he directs the warship toward a super quiet spot. Yuan Shu remains slumped in his chair, bleeding out heavily from his severe wounds. Witnessing that sad sight, the young guy knows the veteran will not last much longer. Showing maximum respect, our boy promises to handle his body and take down the Jinns. Sitting down on the captain's throne, he greets the artificial intelligence cheerfully. Everything looks identical to the past timeline, featuring 5 core modules and the hull. Checking his controls, he sees full remote access alongside a jump drive and stealth mode. His current idea is to let the devices recharge before jumping back into mining. Hiding the warship among floating rocks guarantees a clean escape without raising eyebrows. Ultimately, he intends to use the miner cover identity to grow overpowered in secret. A 3-dimensional map displays every single detail of the level 6 warship. Upgrading the cannon requires copper, while strengthening the armor needs titanium. On top of that, shields and main thrusters will demand a ton of energy points. Repairing the damaged hull and comms antenna is going to take a few rare crystals too. Soon he notices that the Pegasus engine enables instant light-year warp jumps. Running stealth consumes tons of fuel, but it makes the vessel completely invisible. Checking the probes, the kid confirms that his enemy Dakao is leading the hunt. It becomes clear that the Jin family used old logs to track the captain transfer. And here comes the flip, as he lets out a smug laugh and declares he will not waste time. Moving fast, the young man seals the airlocks and turns on the ship's cloak. The warship literally vanishes into thin air, going completely invisible to enemy radars. Flying his tiny mining rig through the rocks, the youth controls the Tomahawk remotely. Shaking off his pursuers, the pilot goes back to his daily routine so nobody suspects him. Heavy cargo freighters slice through the thick dust of planet Kake-03. Wang Do wakes up in his humble room, still sore from the heavy labor last night. Stretching out his limbs, he tries to shake off the fatigue built up over hours. Sip of quick coffee in hand, the boy calculates how much fuel remains in his ship. Noticing standard market prices are insane, he figures out he will need a whole lot. That leaves the black market as his only choice to avoid attracting unwanted eyes. This brings back memories of bribing a shady smuggler during his past run. And that is when everything flipped, because that mess drew attention from big players. Han Feng recalls that the snitch was the exact guy who sold him out to the Jinns. Inside the pilot's head, the trader's name from the 4th Merchant Fleet stays stuck. Fortunately, securing 3 basic crystals guarantees more than enough fuel for his ship. Enjoying his day off with a hot shower, the kid plans to log into a simulator game. Outside, fast ships zoom across the sky of a city packed with bright lights and massive skyscrapers. Walking briskly down the streets, he arrives at the VR Simulation Pod Center. 2 cute receptionists welcome him at the entrance of the Space Cyber Cafe. The facility looks like a giant hangar packed with high-tech virtual reality pods. Han Feng shows his ID card and requests a standard pod to get started. Settling into the immersion capsule, he closes his eyes and hits the login button. Stats show that his starter ship places him right at the bottom of the leaderboards. Suiting up in his virtual gear, the pilot immediately searches for a 1 versus 1 match. Matchmaking pits his level 1 ship against a tough level 5 opponent. The female opponent instantly complains about boredom fighting such a weak rookie. Dodging her initial shots, he lets the thrusters auto-evade the incoming fire. Wang Do laughs out loud and switches the controls over to full manual mode. Grabbing the flight stick with precision, the kid spins his ship to lock target. Annoyed by his cocky attitude, the girl fires her main cannon to end him for good. Smiling casually, our guy starts charging up his own weapon without rushing. A giant, overpowering beam rips through space straight toward his opponent. She freaks out after realizing her shot missed and tries to reload in a hurry. Timing it perfectly, the young man aligns his crosshairs and yells to fire. Look at what happens next. As the massive blast pulverizes the enemy vessel. Celebrating an easy victory, our boy smirks while watching the floating wreckage. Right after, a text arrives from his old mentor inviting him to train together. Wang Do jokes that he is older, but she dares him to beat her in a match first. Asking if she attends the military academy, he hears her confirm it with pride. Trying to gauge the skill level of students there, he learns she ranks among the best. Giving a quick wave goodbye, he logs off as she disconnects from the match. Nobody is going to distract him from grinding cash and changing his destiny. Han Feng gets back to work, eager to finish up quickly and focus on the Tomahawk. The miner Shi gossips with crewmates about seeing a legendary ship nearby. Our guy immediately connects the dots to the Jin family hunting squad. Puffing on a cigar, the supervisor mentions that nobles do not care about them anyway. Ordering everyone back to work, he promises a tiny little bonus in return. Cruising his mining route, the youth collects rare ores without attracting eyes. The colossal warship recognizes its captain the second he links up. Inside the bridge, he praises the incredible efficiency of the ship's AI. Confirming the spatial rift is stable, he activates the stealth cloak. Hiding his signal from all sensors, he disappears from sight entirely. Vanishing into the void, the warship glows bright before crossing the jump gate. Exiting warp drive, he picks up a massive fleet belonging to a space empire. Han Feng laughs after realizing those guys are weak and lack ship shields. Fighting this level 6 fleet feels like pure good luck for him. Enemy ships surround the planet, but his cloak handles the job easily. Commanding the AI to hack their comms line reveals all their tactical plans. Logs show the enemy is the Yatai Empire, a race with super basic tech. Armed with this advantage, the MC wants to farm resources for 24 hours. Changing the ship's name becomes the secret to remaining undetected on this route. Focused on survival, the kid decides to strike mercilessly to grow stronger. At that precise moment, he scans for planetary fault lines to trigger disasters. Han Feng declares no mercy and begins a heavy orbital bombardment. 3 seconds later, massive quakes and tsunamis tear the colony apart. Knowing time is tight, he must hurry to clear the other planets. Firing continuously, his ship rains down absolute fire over the cities. Across the sector, enemy defense fleets reposition to form a blockade. This foolish tactic makes our boy laugh as they turn into sitting ducks. Ordering the main gun charged, incoming enemy fire bounces off his shields harmlessly. Suddenly, everything flips when a giant energy beam slices through those ships like paper. The massive strike triggers a chain reaction that obliterates the whole fleet. Nothing remains except chunks of floating metal in the cold void. Noticing ammo is running low, Han Feng decides it is time to retreat fast. Their desperate attempt to surround him fails against the MC's top speed. Escaping with zero trouble, he celebrates the awesome rewards from this run. Taking advantage of hyperspace quiet time, the kid decides to rename his vessel. Trying to use the name Dawn, the system informs him it is taken. Han Feng gets pissed off because all the cool names belong to other captains. Later he finds out only terrible names remain, like Swamp or Bathtub. 1,000 points get deducted when he rejects Bathtub and selects Pond instead. System confirms the title change while the Proto plans structural repairs. Without thinking twice, he spends 47 points to fix the outer armor. Repairing out here keeps him completely hidden from enemy clan scans. Doing so maintains his minor cover story while he sets up his scheme. Celebrating the fixes, the boy orders upgrades for armor and tactical radar. A prompt asks if he wants to spend 1 crystal to double the stat boost. Han Feng refuses since spending rare crystals on the shit feels wasteful. Improving his control efficiency, he spends points to raise his quantum tier. Eventually, he agrees to use a crystal to rush evolution at this stage. Displays reveal the warship jumped up to level 7 scout grade. This upgrade path offers way more value than dumping stats into the old Tomahawk. Leveling up Mindling to tier 2 boosts his piloting skills even further. Right now, his operational range expanded 9-fold, leaving 117 points. System specs for the Pond refresh, showing all units operating at 100%. Leaning back in his seat, the captain plans a safe trip back home. Cloak fully engaged, he intends to purchase extra crystals on the black market. Check out what happens next as a massive shot blasts the mining asteroids. Dekao gets furious over the intrusion, shouting to ask what his rival wants there. The intruder feigns worry, claiming he came to help so his rival stays safe. That arrogant guy commands the intruder to scram but gets laughed at in return. Dekao calls him naive, though the rival only cares about the Tomahawk bounty. DeLong mocks his cousin, saying he tolerates him solely because of family blood. Furious with rage, the cousin warns that local gravity jams all distress calls. Smirking mockingly, he tells him to go ahead and try before hanging up. Annoyed by the call, the rival focuses on radar to locate the Tomahawk module. A huge ship speeds through the belt while the boss demands finding the late officer. Meanwhile, Wang Do casually arrives at the meetup spot and waves to the crew. Observing the alumni reunion, the Proto plans how to gather intel on the Jins. Standing beside a classmate, the boy asks about factory jobs and hears it is tough. The friend mentions wanting to join military school, so our guy warns his dad will flip. His classmate reveals the new trade agreement allows locals to apply there. Wang Do recalls a snitch ruined things previously, choosing to move in secret. Overjoyed, the buddy offers cash assistance and the Proto thanks him genuinely. But Lin Feng interrupts mockingly, asking if they plan to gossip all day long. Right behind, Ding Ling waves while a strict Li Ji King approaches with crossed arms. Avoiding petty arguments, the kid slips away to meet another friend. Words fail him as his face turns bright red when the stunner walks past him. She advises him to protect her friend, so the Prota talks to Dingling instead. She shares every trip detail, yet the MC gets distracted spotting Zhang Yan. Walking together, they make their way toward the main event hall. Mid-banquet, the girl announces both factions will sign a major treaty. Inviting everyone to apply for the academy, she urges them to pilot capital ships. Everyone celebrates by raising glasses, hyped to level up side by side. Jing Yan notices the Prota does not care at all, growing suspicious. As people disperse, she keeps her eyes locked on every move our guy makes. Running up behind him, she calls out for the MC to stop for a second. She warns a friend that having a sheriff father will not secure their future. The friend insists on earning a spot by merit, but she says she deserves better. Next, she teases her about family inheritance, triggering a dumb argument. Turning to another guy, she pushes his training habits, warning he will embarrass himself. Finally, she stares at the Prota and admits he is the only one she cannot read. Explaining strict treaty regulations, she mentions having a contact to assist them. Meanwhile, systems on the pond report level 7, stealth is fully online. Warnings flash across displays, indicating main gun ammo is almost depleted. The girl continues boasting about connections and 2 hard tests she completed. Wang Do listens with concern, knowing she is stepping right into a trap. Hungry for power, she pushes to recruit the team with promises of a flagship. One friend doubts the contact, yet the leader insists the plan is rock solid. Asking why they must join together, she claims only she possesses leadership skills. Then she locks eyes with the protagonist to see if he buys her story. Wang Do drops a reality check, stating Astra Square went broke and their trial is a joke. Our boy warns she will get crushed by corruption if he stays this naive. Another girl doubts his words, but he asks for calm while keeping his eyes on revenge. And that changes everything, leaving the proud leader speechless as truth hits. Fuming mad, she leaves immediately to find the snitch and demand answers. Ding Ling uses the chance to warn the Prota about sketchy ships in the sector. Remembering past enemies, he sees the perfect setup to start his strategy. His plan involves baiting enemies straight into the merchant fleet. Flying silently, he dodges enemy radar scans sweeping the sector. Hours later, alarms finally ping upon detecting ultra-rare Sakali ore. Robotic clamps break the rock, extracting high-value crystals inside. Glowing intensely in space, the ore splits open, making Wang Dao cheer out loud. Exhausted beyond belief, he stares at tons of ore ready to power up the pond. Far away, other miners gossip about bounties placed on Spark-class ships. Smirking, the kid decides to use a rare module as bait to hook targets. Traveling to a neon cyber city, he spreads fake rumors across the underworld. Wearing a dark hood, the youth drops rumors in bars for mercenaries to spread. Soon snitches believe Woolhouse's fleet carries that valuable cargo. This makes him super happy since the bait worked, leaving him to watch the convoy. Intel reports reach enemy commanders, exposing where the fleet is hiding. Acting fast, Sima delaying orders his troops to assault the merchants instantly. He mocks a rival, claiming that Minion would never hide such rare loot. Confirming the target, the boss plans the strike and how to frame his rival. Scared of heavy escort ships, an officer suggests bringing in another general. Greedy as always, the heir sends that general out front to absorb incoming damage. Sima Decal flies into a rage upon realizing the trap, slamming the command table. Desperate for a way out, he screams to fetch a strategist immediately. Meanwhile, the Prota chats with an ally regarding enemy clan fleet movements. The girl thanks him for the warning, calling enemy Wu an absolute monster. Angry, she mentions sabotaging the guy by jacking up prices 25%. Warning the trader will flee broke, she notes another spy is watching the convoy. Han Feng remembers that Spy was a past rival with a super tragic backstory. That betrayal occurred because the clan murdered his sister, fueling revenge. Recognizing the guy is a genius, the Prota resolves to recruit him to crush their foes. Out in deep space, the pond advances in total silence to launch the operation. Maintaining cover, he chooses to refine ore and store energy for break time. Heavy rain pours over the city as allies quickly assemble together. One member warns of potential retaliation, but the girl considers the enemy weak. Han Feng smirks, saying she can handle everything, which makes her kind of annoyed. And then comes the twist, as he reveals the snitch's life is in danger, shocking everyone. Another friend shares that several factions already launched warships into orbit. Hearing this, the MC knows those syndicates are tied to organized crime networks. She notes rivals will fight, while the Prota pretends to regret missing out. Facing all this chaos, our boy spots the ultimate chance to slip away unnoticed. The female ally complains that poor folks cannot rise without noble backing. He suggests escaping to a federation where everyone enjoys equal opportunities. However, one girl warns that place is not as safe as they think. The classmate insists people there can travel freely without border restrictions. Han Feng ruins the mood by exposing that democracy as elite propaganda. Pointing his finger, he warns that crossing enemy space without ships is impossible. Annoyed by his response, she asks if they will just sit around doing nothing. Knowing he must hold out, he plans to form his crew at the Baron's mansion. Walking through heavy rain, the youth sees his contact already waiting. Handing over luxury car keys cost 80,000, almost bankrupting the kid. Thus, to track the enemy, our boy pretends he is going on summer break. Sitting inside the driver's seat, he posts a photo online to throw everyone off. Classmates comment on the post, wishing him happy holidays and joking around. Minutes later, the vehicle lands in an isolated desert under the pitch-black night. Stepping outside, the prota takes a deep breath, preparing to call his starbase. Man, at this instant, a huge warship descends from the sky under his command. Activating a mannequin dressed in his clothes to drive away creates a solid alibi. Reaching his hand out, he commands the pawn's engines to rev in stealth mode. The elite vessel leaves asteroid cover behind, venturing into open space. Disabling stealth temporarily saves what little power remains stored. Soon he realizes survival depends on activating 24-hour cloak. Drawing from 10 years of being hunted previously, the MC sets up an ambush. Han Feng tracks his radar, confirming no one can spot his cloaked vessel. Following 2 full days harvesting ores, onboard warnings begin to chime. Racing without hesitation, he takes hold of manual controls inside the cockpit. This prompts him to order the AI to trigger total invisibility mode. Meanwhile, enemy commanders assume local forces pose zero threat. Violent orbital bombardment strikes out of nowhere, hitting the fleet's flank. Man, right then, Wulhauze panics as defensive shields drop instantly. Chaos breaks out on the bridge as crew members scramble to pull back freighters. Firing non-stop, scout ships attempt to retaliate with everything they have. DeLong laughs hysterically, daring enemies to try and score a hit on him. The colossal dreadnought surges forward with thrusters burning bright. Hiding behind a rock, the proto watches the explosion show from front row seats. He notes the target vessel can boost weapon power output by 30%. 2 dreadnoughts charge weapons, releasing insanely powerful energy blasts. Yet the target ship deploys heavy shields, absorbing the full force of the blow. DeLong mocks their mistake, ordering main guns charged in 30 seconds flat. Monitoring displays, he views his allied captain as an expendable pawn. Han Feng calculates their strike will fail to break the merchant shields initially. A fresh missile salvo fires at the cruiser under Zheng De's direct orders. Panic spreads among enemies upon seeing those warheads pack destruction. The impact produces a brutal explosion that swallows the entire enemy ship. Those shields drop down to 12%. Crew members cheer for surviving. Screaming in rage seeing the target intact, Delane commands full speed and fire again. Fast projectiles streak through space, slamming hard against the freighter's barrier. Violent shaking starts while sparks fly across the main control panels. Right then, a colossal energy beam strikes to deliver the final killing blow. The blast shatters enemy barriers instantly, causing massive electrical failure. Left defenseless, desperate crew members engage escape pods while crying for help. Zhang De laughs loudly, flexing about using a high-grade warhead worth millions. A minion starts kissing up to him, saying the boss will love these results. Bitterly reflecting, he realizes he is a puppet and this raid will backfire. Spotting his leader's stupidity, the blue-haired officer plans an escape route. Han Feng watches everything in silence, waiting for the perfect time to strike. Heavy fire punctures the merchant ship, triggering secondary explosions inside. Decal praises their toughness, but blames his ally for taking forever to finish them. Laughing mockingly, the buff guy claims targets are weak and easy targets. Multiple cruisers press forward to space to launch another massive wave. Monitors indicate only a single level 10 escort warship remains operational. Wulhauze screams attack commands, sending scout ships to request backup. Regretting underestimating the opposing fleet, he sees they are not basic pirates. Laser fire crisscrosses space in a massive battle, lighting up the void. Scared by rapid enemy closing speed, the operator suggests falling back. Dekao rejects retreat angrily, ordering relentless attacks on all fronts. A massive energy bolt hits shields dead center, rocking the enemy ship. Deep down, Zheng De realizes their leader is smart and knows his strategy. A helmeted soldier suggests full assault, but Zheng De demands waiting for orders. Hoping to flee to safety, the vessel takes damage as shields drop to 21%. Explosions rip through cruisers, with operators reporting only 2 ships remain. Cackling loudly, the villain boasts, "Those target ships are way too easy." Zheng De watches with disgust, thinking this madman will get everyone killed. Amid total panic, while Hause screams this embarrassing defeat makes zero sense, our MC smirks from afar, seeing his rival remains predictable and aggressive. Trying to save himself, the leader begs assistance, offering 10% profits. His entire survival rests on the goodwill of local sector fleets. Only one fleet agrees, demanding a 20% fee for the rescue mission. The blonde guy fumes in anger, threatening everyone if he goes down alone. Left with few choices, local vessels agree and begin forming a defensive line. He watches events unfold quietly, engaging his ship's cloak module. Fighters swoop in, guns blazing, triggering multiple detonations in space. With jammed engines, the villain curses loudly while waiting for shields to restore, calling them a bunch of losers. He shouts in contempt while firing non-stop. Massive fireballs engulf the field as beams cross the darkness. Right then, the first mate warns armor integrity dropped 44%. Furious, Dekau commands another strike while channeling resources to repairs. A single colossal blast wipes out enemy defenses in the blink of an eye. Realizing defeat is inevitable, Captain's order of retreat to salvage remaining units. He praises rival's strength, but his assistant claims victory is already locked in. The young strategist just smiles, knowing greed will ruin his foe. Delling orders pursuit of retreating forces, confident victory will be easy. Heavy laser fire hits allied barriers, creating a display of explosions. And here comes the turn, as Dekau discovers allied betrayal and goes crazy. Our prota gets amused by the chaos, seeing greed destroy both sides. Wu Haoze freaks out and calls full retreat, not caring about lost cargo. Spotting their escape, the rival commander screams desperately to stop the freighter, ordering main cannon fire aimed directly at the enemy shield generator. A giant energy beam fires out, appearing to tear open reality itself. That destructive light advances, obliterating everything in its path. Inside the bridge, the merchant leader grinds his teeth, knowing the hull will fail. The impact causes an insane explosion, destroying armor within seconds. Laughing heartily, Han Feng celebrates, finally achieving his long-awaited revenge. Collapsing exhausted, he feels it is over despite his ship being wrecked. Yet DeLong appears on screen laughing, declaring he will claim all loot. Dekau snaps in rage, yelling he will not let a traitor steal his prize. A dangerous electric pulse gets launched toward his own partner's vessel. Seeing his scheme crumble, DeLang panics while his crew calls for help. Complaining about rival audacity, he knows he cannot survive a direct brawl. Right then, patrol bots grab Dekau from behind to lock him down. An ally tries defending the boss, recalling how much he did previously. Laughing at his public humiliation, enemies taunt him as a defeated dog. Alarm sirens sound off, warning that incoming missiles are targeting them. Space turns into chaos as multiple blasts tear through ship armor. Another massive detonation rips open the hull, spreading fires everywhere. Look at what happens. The prota enjoys watching both rivals destroy each other. Junta hears final words from his dying comrade, swearing to protect his sister. Absolutely furious over everyone's failure, the strategist grinds his teeth in anger. Screaming in rage, Han Feng orders pursuit of the target and dials DeLang. Di Hao demands DeLang's surrender, promising to spare his life if he complies. Faking surrender, the rival launches a cargo pod just to buy time. With loot secured, the commander orders a retreat to repair the cruiser. The warships pull away, leaving a drifting escape capsule behind in space. Spotting the trick, he orders a tracking device attached to the pod. Now comes time to strike. Dropping stealth to charge forward full force. Mid-break, a crew member yells that an enemy vessel is approaching fast. Our MC ship arrives, jamming enemy radars while charging main weapons. Wasting no time, the kid gives the final command to open fire. He blasts a colossal laser beam that tears through deep space. And that flips the script as our cruiser takes a direct hit. Dekau falls into despair, screaming to know who the attacker is. A massive explosion obliterates the enemy ship completely. Watching coldly, our boy states, "You reap what you sow." Multiple salvage bots deployed to gather remaining floating debris. Sensors comb through wreckages, hunting for usable tech components. Soon, the fighter accelerates away from that cosmic dust cloud. Thinking it over, taking down just one air avoids unwanted attention. The hologram displays stats of the overpowered new radar acquired. Smirking, the kid celebrates that the gear is twice as good. Expending 40 system points allows him to equip the module. Heading back to base, he knows retrieved cargo will restock ammo. Letting out a tired yawn, our boy celebrates returning home. A ping sounds on console screen showing Da's tracker active. Down in the slums, dark alleys hide secrets as day ends. Following the signal, Wang Do walks while analyzing his rival's plans. Calling rescue services, he dispatches exact location coordinates. Zhang De wakes up inside the hospital facing his savior directly. Waving calmly, the young man introduces himself and mentions calling help. Suspicious, the patient gives a fake name to protect himself. Aware of ongoing danger, he requires a large sum of cash fast. Sensing high tension, Wang Do asks what is going down. Stuck, the injured man confesses he needs 300,000. Thinking fast, the Prota offers to loan him the money, yet behind this kindness, he knows the guy is in his pocket. The guy explains having no bank account, preferring untraceable cash. Leaving the room, Wang Do asks if he can truly head out. Before leaving, Zhang Da hands over a paper containing his contact info. Pocketing the note, the MC knows he hooked a powerful ally. A smirk forms across his face for completing stage 1. On ship displays, the system announces reaching level 7 rank. Checking inventory, he sees ammunition levels remain well managed. Upgrading the radar requires collecting additional titanium crystals, and that shifts everything as he takes the cure using sleep as alibi. Without hesitation, he injects the antidote to purge the poison. Free from past chains, he feels in control of his future. Rest proves short-lived as the comlink starts ringing loudly. Zhang Yan calls panicked, reporting a nearby fleet was destroyed. Moments later, another friend calls inviting everyone to the cyber cafe. The gang gathers in the lab to review reports on escort destruction. Showing the data, she reveals almost his whole convoy got wiped. Lin Feng laughs it off, saying that Snitch got what he deserved. She fires back instantly, warning fleet owners will send investigators. With matters turning serious, the leader warns they will be prime suspects. The funny guy complains, arguing they only caused minor route delays. That does not matter though, since the Count's anger is the real danger. Zheng Yan tries calming everyone, reminding them the noble is sickly. Avoiding worst-case scenarios, the other girl suggests monitoring news closely. Licking a lollipop, our boy figures high-level infighting will cover them. The youth explains noble internal feuds change the situation entirely. He warns searches target culprits, and that changes things for her. Pointing her finger, she yells, others will also be hunted soon. This enrages the others, who start yelling and threatening her back. Ending the argument, the girl dismisses the meeting and heads inside. Taking a break from heavy work, the kid relaxes playing video games. Accessing the ship terminal, he calls to hear galactic news updates. Rabbit shares excitedly that a new faction seized control over there. Hearing that name makes the Prota thoughtful, prompting the AI to ask if he knows him. He notices the scientist is over a century old yet in peak shape. That old man was betrayed by corrupt nobles while helping commoners. Our boy realizes that ongoing rebellion provides ideal cover for hiding. Interrupting his thoughts, Rabbit invites him to another training session. Out in the mining yard, giant ship traffic never stops moving. Yawning, the kid marks break time over before a friend stops him. That buddy warns a rival gang wants to buy the mine and ruin them. Secretly, he suggests gathering rare ores immediately to sell on the side. Considering this, the young man knows former guardians lost their power. He recalls the previous space battle wiped out almost everyone there. The Prota feels bad that the former boss was left completely unprotected. Smirking, the pilot knows he will bounce from that place in 30 days. And out of nowhere, his ship takes off into space for another jump. The impressive warship drifts in the void, turning on full stealth mode. At the helm, he celebrates how fast the system locates rift points. Confirming coordinates, the captain starts the journey without hesitation. Thrusters roar loudly as the vessel prepares to tear open space. Suddenly, a blinding flash cuts the void, bringing them into another reality. The AI warns right away that local defenses are super weak. It turns out to be an automated mine run by a minor local company. Thinking it over, the kid sees destroying towers yields way more points. He then fires up his new precision radar to locate all targets. Hearing the radar chime, the young man orders screen focus right away. A super efficient mining laser weapon displays on his console monitor. Additionally, sensors pick up a high-speed ore detection unit nearby. The Prota cheers but remembers he needs free inventory slots to equip them. Without delaying, he commands shields raised and initiates full assault. 2 base defense turrets react, opening fire against his warship. And guess what? The pawn's barrier takes hits without taking a scratch. Firing back, his destroyer obliterates enemy turrets in the blink of an eye. Our boy laughs confidently, knowing nobody can stop his warship now. Mining base defenses crumple under the bombardment, turning into smoke and fire. Leaving ruins behind, the pawn glides smoothly near a giant gas planet. Hanfeng checks screens and complains about low points, though he scored 2 extra modules. Secondary engines ignite shortly after, speeding toward a different star system. Chilling in his captain chair, a noisy alarm cuts through the quiet out of nowhere. Checking the scanner, the young pilot finds it weird seeing a luxury yacht out there. That civilian craft pulls clumsy maneuvers, trailing smoke through the asteroids. Inside the damaged cockpit, the flyer struggles to stay in control while gas leaks everywhere. Our boy considers ignoring the situation, since that fragile ship should not be out there. But the pilot inside is panicking hard, running out of air while systems crash. Wang Do catches the face on screen and smiles awkwardly, recognizing his former classmate. Being super careful, he deploys an orange rescue ship to latch onto the fighter. His friend looks up in disbelief as bright spotlights illuminate everything around. Pulling off his helmet inside the rescue pod, he cries from relief, seeing Wang Dao. Flashing a confident smirk, our guy asks who else his buddy expected to find out here. The Proto asks how he ended up in that mess, hearing he was fleeing pursuers. He promises nobody will touch his friend here, who tearfully thanks him for the save. Reflecting on it, the red-haired pilot finds their fleet's decline pretty strange. Shin Wanli admits risking his life out there for a shady family deal. However, the Proto prefers not hearing details to stay clear of free trouble. Teasing his pal, he says the heir is just a spoiled brat who cannot handle himself. Chin Wanli defends himself, claiming it was the plan, though the ambush almost wiped him. Aware of enemy danger, Wang Du offers his base as a temporary hideout. 2 days later, the captain decides it is time to start engines and drop him off. The small cruiser creeps out from the rocks while scanners track enemy presence. Expressing gratitude for the rescue, his friend gets ready to leave once backup arrives. Out in deep space, he floats over to the transport vessel and waves one last goodbye. A few patrol ships streak across the sky at high speeds, leaving glowing trails behind. Back on solid ground at the station, a dark-haired worker steps up to confront him. Giving an annoyed glare, the Proto rejects all deals, making the guy back down in fear. Wang Do simply stays quiet, staring down the scared recruit, offering zero explanations. Rumors about unfair new taxes imposed by the Tiger Fleet start spreading fast. Watching that drama from a distance, the youth chooses to focus strictly on upgrading the pond. Stretching out happily, he enjoys finally getting a day off to chill with friends. And that changes everything, as heavy footsteps echo down the hall, signaling danger. Loud engine rumbles startle workers as the Tiger Fleet blocks all exit points. Holding official documents, their supervisor declares the zone now belongs to the firm. Everyone starts complaining loudly, claiming insurance should cover those fees. Lowering his sunglasses, the debt collector states their specialty is hunting down debtors. Our Proto chooses to ignore the chaos, knowing he will leave that lifestyle behind soon. Walking back home alone, he moves away from all the noisy industrial racket. Near his place, a squad of suited men stops the youth, asking if he is Wang Do. Receiving a manila envelope from their leader, he gets told to read it while they watch his house. Inside his room, the kid slams the table in anger, seeing a 10% charge on everything. Checking the second page, he finds out his only way out is becoming chief navigator for a mission. They clearly used force by surrounding his home to force a trash contract with no payout. Unable to call for backup with his terminal locked, he resolves to handle it his own way. Legends about rare ores inside the danger zone start making complete sense now. Soon, those guys shout from outside, announcing time is up and demanding he come out. Dressed in pilot gear, the youth heads to the hangar over the fearful screams of a veteran. Miners stand jaw-dropped at the massive size of that Class 3 warship. This makes the Proto realize those thugs had been planning this scam for ages. Cutting through the mood, an agent mentions their job is simply acting as bait. The crew begins protesting, given their vessels are old rust buckets lacking defenses. But the boss tells them to shut up, claiming they possess a 24-hour shield. Feeling collective relief, the pilots assume that barrier will hold up fine. Little do they know, Wang Do spots that shield is a super deadly radioactive scam. 12 navigators get orders to split into trios and rotate shielding duties. Checking the roster, the Proto notices he is last, deciding to ride on others' barriers. He intentionally picks the worst ship in the hangar to leave better ones for friends. Right then, another miner bumps hard into his back out of pure clumsiness. That bald guy runs off, thanking him for taking that terrible ship. Wang Du chuckles softly, seeing his little act worked like a charm. Soon the fleet of orange vessels takes off toward the asteroid belt. Flying smoothly, he double-checks to confirm no tracking bugs were planted. Meanwhile, the flagship shines bright with top-of-the-line technology. An advisor asks about the mines, and the leader responds with complete scorn. Chen Shu brags about his father's scheme, while his lapdog kisses up to him. Smirking like a fool, he says he only reveals this because comm signals are jammed. Fearing leaks, the minion questions it, but the boss states everyone is going to die. On comms, Hugh asks for details, and his partner promises nobody escapes alive. Worried about heavy losses, the advisor fears the operation might fail. Laughing out loud, the other reveals reports lied and the jackpot is real. Who runs the numbers, seeing the odds of finding massive wealth are huge. so they agree to eliminate the intruders the moment the run ends. Aware of the danger, Han Feng decides to warn the crew about the trap. He opens comms using casual small talk about buying everyone a drink. That mentioned drink is actually a secret code for heavy radiation. The others play dumb, joining the banter to keep up appearances. Internally, the Proto feels relieved seeing them catch the hint instantly. Switching subjects over the radio, he proposes a toast with another fake drink. Right then, the villain commands the fleet forward, putting workers in front. Orange ships rev their engines and push straight into the dense rock field. Watching their flight path, the advisor assumes they just want to conserve power. They weave through massive boulders while cosmic dust grows thicker. Things are about to get crazy as gravity fields force shield activation. A veteran recalls a mysterious place called the Nest he visited 10 years ago. Seizing the opportunity, Han Feng suggests they are right at the nest's mouth. That location is actually an unstable spatial anomaly prone to exploding randomly. Suspecting nothing, the villains march straight into the spot where the MC directed them. He explains turbulence there is so extreme it shreds anything coming close. Look at what happens as the Proto drops truth bombs on open comms, exposing them live. Terrified, the boss stutters while asking how he unlocked that secret. Panic spreads instantly as every miner hears the truth across their speakers. Right then, Han Feng notices the bad guys were dumb enough to expose themselves. Trying to cover it up, Chen Xiu claims it is all lies and the Proto is crazy. A worker freaks out, screaming for everyone to turn back immediately. Multiple pilots start flying away to avoid dying for nothing. Ordering troops to shoot deserters, Chen Fu gets stopped by his boss to prevent chaos. And that is when everything changes, as space collapses and ships shake violently. Han Feng hears cockpit alarms blare continuously as his ship nearly breaks apart. A giant explosion consumes one ship after it smashes straight into an asteroid. Disoriented orange vessels scramble to dodge the falling debris storm. He notices his engines stalled from overload at the worst possible moment. Right then, a metal silhouette flies over trying to stabilize its course. Laser fire echoes as ships crash head-on into huge floating rocks. Another vessel fails to dodge, blowing up into pieces. Watching the bright flash, the Tiger Fleet advisor feels glad he stayed back. Later, he freaks out demanding updates, learning 2 ships escaped while one blew up. Scared, he knows his radar is weak and his ship lacks defensive weaponry. Reporting this tragedy will trigger a major scandal, making him hesitate on his next move. Far away from the mess, the tiny pod gently docks onto the pond. Our boy walks around victorious for commanding his ship to stay cloaked. He checks monitors, observing that enemy slowness messed up local gravity. And here comes the twist, as that mistake triggers a space avalanche that wipes out everything. Mocking them, he states it is an absolute waste giving ships like the Constantine III to rookies.